Today's mission involves duping exquisite Christmas decorations that are truly a sight to behold. However, the price is far too high, so we are going to get the look for less. Now, our first dupe is some giant lampposts about as tall as me, because that seems reasonable, right? Well, I needed them and I didn't want to buy them because they were so expensive. These beautiful lampposts are from the Perigold website. This snowing snowman lamppost is a stunning white lamppost. It's almost 6 feet tall and it's got an adorable snowman winter scene inside of the lantern. I thought this was so adorable, but the price is not adorable. For one of these lampposts, it is $398. I'm not going to purchase them, but we are going to make them. Now, we are going to actually make 2 of them and we are going to put them on either side of my TV. Do you remember when we did that giant entertainment makeover? Well, I've got these 2 niches on either side of the TV. And originally I thought, I'm just gonna put some Christmas trees in there and it's gonna look fabulous. But the more I got decorating and the more I looked at these areas, I thought I needed to do something out of the ordinary and show-stopping. So what we need first of all is a container. I actually have 2 containers that we are going to use. I purchased these several years ago at HomeGoods. The detailing along the edges is fantastic. I love the color scheme of the white and the gold. During the year, they stay on the countertop in my dining room, but we are going to move them over to the family room and use them as our base for our lampposts. So now we need a post itself. I needed something that was sturdy enough that it could hold up a heavy lantern and a bunch of greenery. So I headed over to Lowe's and I found some PVC pipe. I got an 8-foot long piece of PVC piping, and this is going to be the actual post itself. I want to be able to use my containers in different projects later on, so I didn't want to make this post permanent, but it definitely needed to be held in place very sturdily. I ended up getting some great stuff. This is used for gap fillers. It's an expanding foam, so if you have a hole that needs to be filled up, this is a great solution. I purchased 2 of these cans at Lowe's as well. Now I've got my items to create my lamppost. So what I'm going to do is take that PVC pipe and saw it into 2 sections. I got a pencil and marked out the size I needed. I grabbed my gloves and my Aaliyah safety glasses. I took my jigsaw and cut the pipe into 2 45-inch segments. The opening in the bottom of the container is quite large and it actually goes all the way down to the bottom, which is fantastic for us. So what I did was I took the pipe and I put it in the center of the container and made sure the bottom of the pipe touched the bottom of the container. Then I took a can of Great Stuff and began to spray this expanding foam into the container. You want to make sure that your pipe is directly in the center. We do not want a ski wampus pipe. I sprayed an entire can of the Great Stuff into the container. Once I was finished filling up my first urn with the Great Stuff, I moved on to the second urn. I placed the PVC pipe all the way down to the bottom, took my second can of Great Stuff and sprayed it into the container. I made sure that the pipe was completely encased in the Great Stuff, and once again, I used an entire can. If you look at the container right now, it looks like it's not filled up all the way, but give it a couple of hours and it will begin to expand and grow. It grew and grew, and as it grew, it hardened as well. Once several hours had passed, this was my result. It looked like the Loch Ness Monster. It took on a life of its own and it definitely filled up that entire container. So definitely be prepared for the Great Stuff foam to expand. Now, of course, I'm not going to leave it like this, so I got a serrated knife and I simply just trimmed off the excess. I wanted the top of the foam to be even with the top of the container. All right, our PVC pipe is secure in our container. Now, the thing about the PVC pipe is that it did have some scratches and some dings and some discoloration. So what I'm going to do is paint it. First, I need to protect the urn, so I got a grocery bag. I made a hole in the top and just put it right over the top of the urn and the pipe. And then I got some Krylon spray paint. This is a white satin spray paint, and I sprayed the entire pipe. I made sure that everything was covered, especially the dings and the scratches and the discoloration. Because it's white, I just needed to do a quick top coat over the pipes so that the color on the surface of the pipe was cohesive. Once the pipes had been painted, I let them dry for an hour. We need some lanterns to go on top of our lamp post. We are going to use some lanterns that I already have. I purchased these lanterns several years ago at Hobby Lobby, and if you've been with me for a long time, you know that these used to be hanging right here, right next to either side of my giant mirror. The wall-mounted lanterns were fantastic on either side, but at the end of the day, I needed some more light in this space, and so I swapped them out for these lamps. So these lanterns have been in a closet just collecting dust for the past probably 2 years. So these are going to be very beautiful in our lamp posts. I love the size and the shape of these lanterns. There's a lot of detail on it, and I love the scroll work at the bottom. What I don't like about these lanterns is the color. It looks like cement. It's got that bumpy, rough texture, and it also has a few rust spots. It's rustic, and that is not the look that we are going for. So we are going to paint it. First, I need to remove the glass panels that are inside the lantern. Luckily, they were removable, and they needed to be washed anyways. By removing these glass panels, it saves me a lot of time and effort trying to tape those glass pieces off. Then I took my lanterns outside. I'm spraying them in the same Krylon white spray paint as I used on the pole. I made sure that the entire lantern was completely covered in the white spray paint. I painted the top and the insides and the scroll detail. There were a lot of areas that needed to be painted on these lanterns so that they would be properly coated in the spray paint. Once both of my lanterns had been painted, I let them dry for 1 hour. These lanterns already look so much better. I love this paint color, but it is a little stark, so we are going to add some gold highlights. I'm going to be using some gold leaf Rub and Buff. I took a tube of the Rub and Buff and a paper towel. I added a dab of the Rub and Buff to the paper towel, and then I wiped it on the grommets on the top of the lantern. Then I moved on to the cutout details above. I wiped this area in the gold Rub and Buff, and then I highlighted the line right above it. I added some to the top finial and the ring, and then down at the bottom, I just wanted to highlight the edges, so I added some gold Rub and Buff just to the edges. That way it wasn't completely coated in the gold, and then I added a little bit more to the bottom finial. Once my first lantern had the gold highlights on it, I moved on to the second lantern. I repeated the process on this lantern. I added the gold Rub and Buff in the exact same areas as I did on my first lantern. And since this Rub and Buff is more like a wax, it only took a few minutes to dry. When I was making the decision about what I was going to use for my pole, I specifically wanted a pipe because I needed the hole in the center, because that way the bottom of my lantern would fit into the hole of the pipe. Now it does, but I want to make sure that it's not going to topple over and that it's secure in place. So when I was putting together my Christmas tree, you know how the pole of the bottom of the Christmas tree goes into the base of your Christmas tree, and it has those little screws that you can screw it into the side to make sure that your tree doesn't wiggle and shake and fall over? Well, we're going to copy that, and we're going to do that to the top of the pipe. So what I did was I got my drill, and I drilled 3 holes equidistant from each other at the top of the PVC pipe. I'm going to need these holes for access to put in some machine screws. Then I took the lantern and poked the bottom of the lantern into the top of the PVC pipe. Then I screwed in my machine screws into the holes. The machine screws have a flat bottom, so they will not damage the bottom of the lantern. Once the machine screws were in place, it was now the moment of truth. Me and my son, Blake, took a step back, and hallelujah. The lantern stayed in place. So now we know that this is a success. We can move on and do the exact same thing with our second PVC pipe. I drilled the 3 holes in the top of the PVC pipe and then took my lantern and put it inside, then screwed the machine screws in place. You guys, this is looking so good. I'm so excited. Can you see the vision now? All right, so I'm gonna bring them back inside and I'm gonna put them in the niches on either side of my TV. These lampposts fit in these niches perfectly. I wanted them to be grand and take up the space because it is a fairly large space. Now that the structural part of our lamppost is completed, it's time to move on to the fun part, which is beautifying our lampposts. Now, if you remember the inspiration piece, there was a cute little snowman village at the top of the lantern. I like that, but we are definitely gonna go for a more elegant look here in this space. Behind me, I've got my kitchen all decorated for Christmas, and the theme in there was a snowy winter village. Well, we want to carry that over into this room as well, and every snowy village has lampposts, but we want ours to be beautiful and elegant. So what I'm gonna do is create some garlands. I have 2 garlands that I'm going to be using. I have a frosted garland and a pine garland, and both of these I purchased at Walmart. Now, what I've done with my other garlands is I've intertwined these 2 garlands together. I did that on the garland in my bedroom, and I did that here on the garland in the family room area. So we're gonna do that exact same thing. I'm going to take both of these garlands, I'm going to lay them out, and then I'm going to intermix them by simply taking the branches and wrapping them around each other. This way I get a good mix of frosted branches and plain green branches. Not only is this a great way to add color variation to your garland, but it is an inexpensive way to create a fuller garland. You get a big beefy garland for an affordable price. I actually ended up cutting this garland in 2 because we didn't need that long of a segment to wrap around our lampposts. They're not that long. So I have 2 of these beautiful garland pieces. We need a little bit of shimmer and shine in our garland. And what I used here in my family room garland was a strand of beautiful champagne gold sparkly leaves. I purchased this garland at Hobby Lobby. I got a whole bunch of them. They were $13.99, but they were 50% off, so they only were $7 a piece. And what I'm gonna do with these sparkly leaves is I'm going to intertwine them into the pine garland. I simply intermixed these champagne leaves in with the pine branches. I did this on both of my garlands. I love the addition of the champagne leaves. It is a great color contrast, but I also love the sparkle and the shimmer and the shine that it adds to the garland. I'm going to wrap my garland around my lamppost. So I simply just took one of those pine branches and wrapped it around the lantern itself. And then I got a segment of floral wire and wrapped it around both the garland and the lantern to secure them together. And yes, I am once again going to be wearing my apron. I love my apron. I've got all kinds of little goodies I could put in the pockets, so it's definitely going to be useful helping me decorate these garlands. Once the garland had been wrapped around the lampposts, I secured the end of the garland to the foam with a floral pin. The Great Stuff foam is similar to floral foam, so I can poke things into the foam just like a floral pin. Up next, we're going to be using some wide white ribbon. I purchased this ribbon at Michael's in the wedding section. I used it on both my garland and my Christmas tree, so we're going to use it on these garlands as well. And of course, we've got to have some beautiful gold beads on our garlands. So I took a strand of these gold beads, I put it in front of the wide white ribbon, and then I attached it to the top part of the garland. Then I draped the ribbon and the beads down, took a branch from the garland, wrapped it around the ribbon and the beads to secure it in place. Then I made another loop and brought the ribbon and the beads down to the lower part of the lamppost. Then secured these items to the garland by simply wrapping a wire branch around it. On my Christmas tree, I created some bows to cover up the floral foam. We are going to make some bows again out of the same ribbon. I have this pewter and gold ribbon that I purchased at Hobby Lobby I love the color of it, and the sparkly Christmas trees in the center are so fabulous. So I just looped this ribbon into a bow. I tied some wire around it, and then I was able to attach it to the bottom of the lantern at the top of the garland. And then I created another bow and added it down at the base. I added a few white poinsettias to the garland as well. Another recurring theme that we have in our Christmas decorations this year is pearls. I have these pearl picks, and I took a few of these pearls picks and I added them to the garland as well. Next step is some gorgeous ornaments. I have several ornaments in shades of champagne and gold. These ornaments fill up the vacant spaces on our garland, but they also tie in our color scheme. And because these are lampposts, we've got to have some light shining through our lanterns. What I'm going to use are some battery-operated flicker flame candles. These candles are on a remote, so I can easily turn them on every single night without pulling them in and out of the lantern. We are done. Look at these. I love them so much. I cannot believe how stunning they turned out. I knew creating these show-stopping lampposts was going to be a big project. It definitely was. It was a lot of hard work, but it was definitely worth all of the effort that we put into creating these lampposts. And I like these so much better than our inspiration lampposts. Mine have so much more detail on it. I love all the garlands that we added to it and the beautiful ribbons, the ornaments, the botanicals that we have. I think that our lantern is much more decorative than our inspiration lantern. The candle that we have inside of our lantern gives off the right amount of light. It's not too bright. It doesn't overwhelm the space, and it doesn't take away from both the Christmas tree and the garland. I also love the size. They're large enough that they take up the majority of the space, but they're small enough that they are still streamlined and don't overwhelm it. I'm so delighted I decided to go with a lamppost instead of a Christmas tree. The lampposts are unique, they're one of a kind, and they fit in with my overall Christmas scheme. These are a unique and fun holiday decoration that makes this room feel like it's a tucked away winter village. Now let's take a look back at our inspiration lampposts. If you remember these, they were $398 a piece. If I were to purchase two of them, it would be $796, which is too much for me to pay. After calculating all the costs that went into creating both of my lampposts, the grand total was $194.40. That is a great deal, you guys. And it is, however, I know that that's more expensive than I typically spend on my dupes. But if you really look at the cost breakdown, the most expensive pieces were the lantern and the base, and I already had those. I purchased those a long time ago. So if you wanted to cut down the costs on creating a lamppost for yourself, just look around your house and find items that you already have. You may already have a container that you wanted to use, and you may already have a lantern that you want to use. So you can bring down the price even further on these. But nonetheless, even still, we saved over $600 from our inspiration lampposts by duping these ourselves. I love these lampposts. They are magical. They are warm and inviting. I love the glow that they bring. It coordinates beautifully with our other decor in the room, and it also contributes to that warm, wintry village scene that I want to achieve in this space. We're going to take it down a notch, and our next dupe is not going to be near as complicated, but they are still going to be very beautiful. I have two chairs right here in front of my fireplace, and I have pillows in the front, and so I want to have some festive pillows that coordinate with our color scheme and our overall wintry theme. I found these pillows on the Wayfair website. I love the color scheme. It's got the pewter color in it, and this winter wreath is gorgeous. The gray ribbon is a wonderful detail. But can you believe that each one of these pillows is $204.08? No, I'm not gonna pay that. But I will take inspiration from these pillows and create some of our own. Now you guys know that I love making pillow coverings, and I have two places that I love the best to get affordable pillow coverings. One is IKEA, and the second is Hobby Lobby. I got two of these 18 by 18 inch pillow covers at Hobby Lobby. They're only $3.99 a piece, and that is such a bargain. The way that I'm going to get my wreath design is by creating a wreath on my Cricut design space and then have my Cricut maker cut it out. I weeded away the excess iron-on vinyl from around the wreath. Then I placed the vinyl in the center of my pillow cover. I took my easy press, I put it over the vinyl, which heats up the vinyl and fuses it to the pillow covering. I heated it to 330 degrees and set the timer for 30 seconds. Once my wreath had been sufficiently heated up, I removed the easy press and then peeled away the protective coating. I repeated this process on my second pillow covering. I added the vinyl to the center of the pillow covering, and then I put my easy press over the top, heated it up. Once it was sufficiently fused to the pillow covering, I removed the protective covering. These silver pewter wreaths look so beautiful in the center of our pillow covering, but they also look pretty plain. And this is where we're going to take some creative liberties, just like we took some creative liberties on our lampposts. We are going to personalize it and make it our own with some pearl beads. I purchased these beads at the Dollar Tree, and I simply just sewed them to the pillow covering right where those berries were. The inspiration pillow covering had a matte gray ribbon, and I wanted something a little fancier, so we're going to be using a satin gray ribbon. I tied it into a bow, and you guys, we are just going to hot glue this bow into the center of the wreath. We are not going to sew it on. I'm not going to wash these anyway because the pearls would most likely fall off. So this is going to be a decorative pillow that gets removed when people come over and sit down. So the hot glue will work just fine. I added the hot glue to the center of our wreath. Again, this is another variation that we are taking from the inspiration wreath. I like symmetry, so our bows are going in the center of our wreaths. Once I was done adding the silver satin ribbon bow to my second pillow covering right in the middle, then I filled them up with some down pillow inserts. I love using these feather inserts because they are more malleable than the cotton poly inserts. And we are done with our beautiful pillow coverings. You guys, look at how pretty these are. The silver pewter wreath is gorgeous. Those pretty little pearl accents, oh my goodness, I love those so much. They really elevate the look of this. It makes it look so much more luxurious, and it definitely fits in with all the other pearls that we have everywhere in our color scheme. And of course, the satin ribbon. Oh, I just love the sheen that it has. It just looks so luxurious. Now that our pillows are done, let's put them right next to our inspiration pillows from the Wayfair website. Do you remember that these were $204.08 a piece? If I were to buy two of these, it would cost me $408.16. That's a lot of money. Now I will say that those pillows come with an insert already in it, but I don't know if that justifies the price. Anyway, let's calculate the cost that went into creating two of my pillow coverings. After I had added up all the expenses, it came to $15.23. That is such a great deal, you guys. And these pillows on top of my chairs look so beautiful. Just like our lampposts, I like our dupe better than the inspiration piece. I think our pillow coverings are elegant, they're classy, and they are definitely one of a kind. They fit in beautifully with our color scheme and enhance the overall look of this space. It's finally time to decorate the Christmas tree. You guys, I am so excited to share this with you. This is without a doubt my favorite Christmas tree that I have ever decorated. Now, along with the Christmas tree, we are also creating a beautiful fireplace mantelscape, we are gonna start off creating a beautiful garland. Now, just like in my bedroom garland, we are going to take 2 garlands and weave them together. I have a pine garland and I also have a frosted garland. I laid both of these garlands out and intertwined them. This is a great way to beef up your garland, but it also gets a color variation between the pine green and the frosted branches. My sweet boys helped me fluff these branches. I know it's every teenage boy's dream to help their mother fluff branches on a garland. They're such good sports and I'm so grateful for them. Once these branches were all spread out and fluffed up, I got a string of Christmas lights and I strung those through the garland. We do not want this garland to fall down midway through the season. So what I've done in the past is I actually got a screw and I just screwed that directly into the fireplace. That way I have peace of mind knowing that it is securely attached to the mantle. Then I got a segment of floral wire and I wrapped it around the big heavy garland and then twisted the wire around the screw on the fireplace mantle. I did this on both sides. Now my garland touches the ground, ascends to the top of the mantle, dips down in the center, and then drops down to the floor on the opposite side. Look how big and beefy this garland is. It is lush and full. To bring in that champagne gold, I'm going to get a sparkly leaf garland that's in this champagne color. I purchased several of these garlands at Hobby Lobby. These garlands were $13.99 a piece, but they were 50% off, which brought the price down to only $7. I'm going to be using 3 of these garlands. So I took the first garland, had it touch the floor, brought it all the way up to the top corner, and attached it to the garland. I took the second garland, placed it on the dip in the center, and then the third garland cascaded down the opposite side. Now I'm going to take these leaves and branches and intermix them with our garland. These champagne leaves integrate beautifully into the pine garland. It adds a shimmer and shine and creates a bountiful base for the other items we are going to be putting on our garland. If you left this garland as is, it would be absolutely stunning, but that's not what we're going to do. We are going to add a whole bunch more embellishments to our garland. Now, the inspiration for the fireplace garland in my bedroom was a well-dressed lady headed out to a fancy Christmas party. Well, we're gonna carry that theme into this garland. Every well-dressed lady needs some jewelry, so we are going to get a strand of gold beads and add it to the garland. The first beaded garland is from Hobby Lobby. It was only $4.99, and of course it was 50% off. The second strand of gold beads is a bit smaller. These beads I've had for years. I originally purchased them at Target. I'm going to find the center of the strand of beads, attach it to the pine garland by simply wrapping a branch around it, drape it down, and then bring it back up to one corner. Then I took the second half of the beads, draped that down, and then brought it back up to the opposite corner. Again, I'm just going to be attaching these beads to the pine garland by grabbing one of those pine branches and just wrapping it around the beads. That's just as efficient as using floral wire. Then I took the second strand of gold beads, draped it just slightly above our larger beaded garland, and went along that same line of beads just a little bit higher. Now we have a beautiful necklace on our gorgeous garland. Now that the beads are in place, let's add some ribbons. I have 2 ribbons that I'm going to use. The first is a wide white satin ribbon. This is wired, and I purchased it at Michael's, and I didn't get it in the Christmas section. I actually got it in the wedding section. They've got some great selections of ribbons over there, so that's where I purchased this wide white ribbon. And then I also have a striped pewter and gold ribbon. I used this ribbon in my kitchen decorations. I added these ribbons to my sconces and my lanterns. I layered the pewter and gold striped ribbon in front of the thick, wide white ribbon. I took a segment of floral wire, wrapped it around both of the ribbons so they were attached. Then I wrapped the wire around the garland. I'm going to make a loop in this ribbon and then bring it back to the garland and attach it to the garland with one of those pine branches. I looped it again and attached it to the garland by wrapping one of the branches around the ribbon, and then I let the ribbon drape to the floor. We don't want a straight cut to the bottom of our ribbons, so I'm going to dovetail the end of the ribbon, which makes it look nice and clean. And then I continue to add this ribbon to the center of the garland and the opposite side. Fun fact, I actually ran out of ribbon. Classic, right? I had like a foot or two left at the bottom on one of the sides and I ran out of ribbon. So I had to make a quick run to Hobby Lobby to grab more of that striped ribbon, and then I just simply added it to the bottom. So crisis averted. Now it's time to add some white poinsettias and some white frosted flowers to the garland. I added them to the top corners, the center, and along the sides. To bring in the pearls, I've got these pearl picks. I used them on my fireplace mantle in my bedroom. And since our theme is pearls, I'm going to add several of these pearl picks around the garland. And then I decided to add a couple more loops to the center ribbon. I should put an asterisk next to my designs that says everything's subject to change. You know how when you get a design up and you look at it and you're like, that needs to be changed. Well, I needed to change the ribbon in the center just a little bit. I think it looks so much better now. To add some more pearls to our garland, I've got 3 of these beautiful teardrop glass ornaments. They're gold and they have these beautiful strands of beads that go along the perimeter of the ornament and a little string of pearls that drape down right at the tip. I purchased these ornaments at Home Goods a few years ago and they coordinate beautifully with our theme. Along with these ornaments, I'm going to add several lucite snowflakes. I've got some gold snowflakes, gold gems, gold and champagne colored round ornaments. We are filling our garland full of ornaments to make it feel abundant. The final detail we are going to add to our garland is to get a segment of this Merry Christmas ribbon. I cut a piece long enough that I could have Merry Christmas on either side. I bunched it in the middle and then placed it right in the center of the garland. We are done with our garland. You guys, look at how beautiful this is. I can't even tell you how stunning it looks. I love the details we added. This garland is elegant and luxurious. The champagne glitter leaves add a plentiful look to our garland. The layered ribbons are a great way to bring in our color scheme with the satin, the gold, and the pewter. The beads look like our garland has an elegant necklace, and the ornaments represent the extra jewelry you put on when you're heading out to a fabulous party. I couldn't love this garland anymore. And now that our garland is done, let's move up and decorate the top of the fireplace mantle. Now, because this garland is so busy, we want to keep the top decorations fairly streamlined. So what I'm going to do is get some Christmas cone trees. I purchased these champagne sequin trees at Hobby Lobby. They were such a great price already, and then they were 50% off, which is fabulous. So I'm going to take 2 of these large trees and I'm going to add them to either side of our fireplace mantle. These will add the height and the drama that we want on our fireplace. So I've got these 2 right here, and then next I've got our medium trees. So these are gonna go right here, a little bit further away from our tall cone Christmas trees. And then I've got some small trees. I know I'm bending down in a dress, that's not very ladylike, but I think we're friends at this point, so it's okay. All right, so these little trees are gonna go right here in front. So we've got our small, medium, and large trees. I love that these trees are geometric and streamlined. The champagne sequins blend in beautifully with our champagne colored leaves on our garland, and they fit in with this luxurious theme. Of course, we need a stunning piece of artwork to go in the center of our fireplace mantle. I love using artwork because it is an easy and inexpensive way to theme your decor seasonally. This wintry landscape print is from my website. I added it to this beautiful champagne gold frame that's very decorative. I'm going to place it right here in the center and lean it up against the mirror. And perhaps I should have put the artwork up first before I did the cone trees, but hey, we've got it up now. This European winter landscape was a perfect choice. The colors in this art print coordinate with our color scheme, and the winter scene is so festive. It's not too busy, so this artwork goes along with our streamlined design. I will leave a link to it in my description box. Well, that's it. We're done with this entire fireplace wall. This entire Christmas scene is a beautiful sight. It has an air of elegance, but it still fits in with the Christmas theme because we have the winter art print, the snowflakes, and the Christmas trees. You guys saw how easy this display was to put together. There was nothing that was overcomplicated, but it looks professionally done. And if you think it looks beautiful now, just wait until nighttime when it's dark outside and the lights are dim and you can see those beautiful sparkly, twinkly lights coming through the garland. The lights make the ornaments twinkle and dance. Everything looks magical. The fireplace mantle was just a teaser, and now it's time to move on to the real magic, and that is decorating the Christmas tree. There is nothing that screams Christmas more than a beautifully decorated Christmas tree. I have a 9-foot tall flocked Christmas tree. I'm using some bed risers to raise this tree up even further. The bed risers are fabulous to raise up a tree because they are sturdy, they can handle a lot of weight, and they're also not too tall. The reason I'm raising up my tree just a little bit is because I love to have some extra space between the bottom branches and the floor. That way I can add some Christmas gifts below. And then we also have a Polar Express train that we put out every single year. My husband and the kiddos have a fun night where they put the train out. So I wanted to make sure that we had enough space for those items. I also have some sparkly Christmas lights that I added to the tree as well. I'm going to need you to have an open mind as we start decorating this Christmas tree. This is a design that I have never done before, so as we get going, you may have some questions in your mind, but stick with me. I promise you it's going to be so worth it. So what we are going to start off with is a few blocks of floral foam and some mesh ribbon. I know, not what you were expecting. I told you it's a little unique, but we are going to take this floral foam and we're going to put it inside the center of this ribbon. We are going to encase the foam in the mesh. I got some segments of floral wire, twisted the bottom of the mesh together, and then wrapped the wire around the mesh. I did this to the top and then also to the bottom so it looks like a piece of candy. Then we did the exact same thing with the second floral foam block. I wrapped the mesh around the floral foam, got a segment of floral wire, and secured the mesh around the foam. Now we have 2 blocks of floral foam encased in some gold mesh ribbon. Don't raise your eyebrows quite yet, stick with me. I'm going to take this strand of ribbon and I'm going to add it to my Christmas tree. I'm placing it diagonally right in the front. I'm going to get more segments of floral wire, wrap the wire around the mesh, and attach it to the tree branch. Once I had secured the first block of floral foam to the tree, I did the same thing with the second block of foam. Now I'm going to gather up a whole bunch of Christmas botanicals. Do you remember that garland that we added to our fireplace mantle in the bedroom? That champagne, beautiful garland? Well, I ended up purchasing 3 of these garlands, so I have 1 left over. I'm also going to be using more of this sparkly champagne leaf garlands. I've got frosted poinsettias, plain white stems of leaves, large beaded white and gold leaves, and more of that satin ribbon. I'm going to take that champagne garland that we used in our bedroom. I'm going to bend it in half, get some floral cutters, and cut it in half. I'm going to take the first half of the garland and press it into the floral foam. This is going to stretch from the center of the tree and wind up diagonally around the tree. Then I took the second segment, flipped it around, poked it into the floral foam, and then had it descend diagonally to the bottom of the tree. I'm also going to be using floral pins to make sure that these garlands stay in the floral foam. Next, I took that sparkly champagne leaf garland that we used on our fireplace mantle. I'm going to cut that in half as well. I did the same thing with these 2 segments. I poked one into the floral foam and had it ascend diagonally upward, and the second segment descend diagonally downward. Again, I'm using floral pins to secure the garland to the tree. I repeated this process with my second strand of sparkly champagne leaves. I simply cut it in half, and this time I placed it above the thicker champagne garland. Because our tree is flocked and a lot of the leaves are in that champagne color, we need to bring in a pop of color. So I've got these green frosted leaves. I'm going to get about 6 of these segments and I'm going to poke them into the floral foam. The green is a fantastic highlight. It actually brings out that champagne color even more. The green is a perfect contrast to the very neutral color scheme that we have in our tree. Next up, I've got some stems of plain white leaves. This is a great contrast to all of the other sparkle and glitter that we have. These leaves are very simplistic. I poked them into the floral foam. A few of them were a little too long, no big deal. I just trimmed it to size and then poked it into the floral foam. These next leaves are stunning. I purchased them at Hobby Lobby. They've got beads on it and I wanted them to be a standout feature. I'm going to place them in the center of the tree. I've got 2 of these beaded leaves. I position them smack dab in the center. I'm poking them into the floral foam to hold them in place. These frosted poinsettias were a must-have in our tree design. I purchased them at Hobby Lobby. Hobby Lobby has fantastic greenery, and I love that you can get it for 50% off right now. So what I did was I took 2 of these poinsettias and poked them into the center of the tree. Because the stem is so long, it went all the way through the tree and it secured those poinsettias in place. Then I got another poinsettia and added it to the top portion of our greenery and another one to the bottom portion. Now, of course, we've got to add some beautiful pearls to our tree. I've got a few more of these pearl picks. I simply peeled a few of these stems away from the large stem and then poked them into the floral foam. We are now done adding all the botanicals to our tree. What do you think? Are you catching the vision? I hope so, because I'm loving the way that it looks. And I'm going to love it even more after we add a ribbon to the tree. I've got more of this wide white ribbon. I'm going to attach this ribbon to the tree by bending the branch around the end of the ribbon. Then I'm going to loop the ribbon and then pinch it together, take a pine branch and wrap it around the loop. And then I'm going to add another loop, pinch the ribbon together, wrap a pine branch around it to keep it in place. I continued to do that until I got to the bottom of the tree. Just like the ribbon on the garland, we are going to dovetail the bottom of these ribbons. I think it's a clean way to finish off your ribbon. I got a second segment of this wide white satin ribbon. I did the exact same thing, This time I'm going to add the ribbon below the first line of ribbon. Then I got a third segment of ribbon, I attached it to the tree above the botanicals, and finally got a fourth segment of ribbon and added it to the top of the tree. The ribbon adds a much needed contrast in both color and sheen to the Christmas tree. These ribbons are a beautiful addition. Now it's time to bring in even more color, and we are going to do that with some pewter ribbons. I purchased these pewter and gold ribbons at Hobby Lobby. They fit in so nicely with our color scheme. I love the sparkly Christmas trees in the center. What I'm gonna do is create some bows. The reason why I'm making bows is because we want to hide that floral foam. You can see a little bit of that floral foam is still exposed. We don't want people to know how all of our botanicals are attached to the tree. We want them to guess. So hiding the floral foam is essential. So what I'm going to do is get this ribbon, I'm going to loop it into a bow and then poke it directly into the floral foam. I added 3 of these large bows to the tree, 2 of them to cover up the floral foam, and the third for design balance. And just like our garland, we are going to get some more of this Merry Christmas ribbon, cut some segments of this Merry Christmas ribbon, and then attach a few of them in specific areas on my tree. Just like our garland, our tree needs a beautiful necklace. I've got more of these strands of beads. I'm going to add these beads to the center of our wide white ribbon. These beads are just what we need to break up all the white on our ribbon. It also adds a sparkle and shine that we want on our tree. These beads also coordinate with the beads on our garland. And of course, our tree needs some jewelry, so this is a way that we can add some. It's time to add all of our ornaments to the tree. I have such a huge variety of ornaments. I've got feather ornaments, I've got large round crystal ball ornaments, I've got pearl ornaments, sparkly ornaments. I'm going to add a few gems to the tree. I want to fill it up so that it looks like it's overflowing with abundance. Every tree needs a topper, and my topper is a white star with gold edging around it. I also got some more of those champagne sparkly leaves. I simply cut off a few branches from the garland and poked them into the top of the tree to highlight the star. The finishing touch is to add a tree skirt to the bottom. I've got this soft tree skirt that has a diamond pattern and pearls scattered all over it. It's such a beautiful tree skirt. And then I also added several packages at the bottom to fill up the space. We are done decorating the Christmas tree. Yay! I'm so glad you stuck with me. I know it was a little questionable at the first, but I think it turned out beautifully. Now, this did take me quite a long time to decorate. You can see that we started when it was still light out, and now it's dark, but it was totally worth it. I absolutely love the way that this Christmas tree looks. I am not kidding when I say this is my favorite Christmas tree that I have ever decorated. The design of the garland, the leaves, and the poinsettias in the center of the tree was a unique design that definitely put me out of my comfort zone. But sometimes stepping out of your comfort zone gives you the results that are so much better than you could have ever anticipated, and that's exactly what happened with this Christmas tree. Just like our garland, our tree looks beautiful during the day, but it comes to life at night. This is the best time to enjoy the Christmas decorations. I love looking through these freebie magazines that come in the mail, and I have this Grandin Road magazine that I was thumbing through, and I happened upon this adorable cake stand. This is a Nutcracker cake stand. It is so cute. I've never seen anything like it before, so I headed to their website to look at it just a little bit further. This cake stand is whimsical and cheerful, and I just had to have one for myself. And of course, we're going to dupe it because the price of this cute little Nutcracker cake stand is $139.30. All right, so we're gonna start off by heading to the Dollar Tree of all places. Now, my Dollar Tree has a section that has the $5 items. I found this cute little Nutcracker there. This pretty little Nutcracker is a great size. It has just the right amount of detail. And for the low price of $5, I had to have one of these festive little fellows. To go along with our Nutcracker, we need a sturdier base than it already has because we are going to eventually be putting a plate on top. So I have this decorative square wood base that I purchased at Hobby Lobby. Yes, it has some laser marks in it. I used it to try and engrave something in a different project. It's not a big deal, you guys. It's gonna be just fine. I don't wanna go out and buy another one because we are trying to get the look for less, so I'm using something that I already have. And we're gonna paint it anyway, so you're not even gonna be able to see those little markings. So what I did was I took this wood base outside and I'm going to spray it in some gold Rust-Oleum spray paint. I painted the top and the 4 sides of this square base. Once everything was coated in the spray paint, I let it dry for 1 hour. We need a plate to go on top of our Nutcracker, and I don't want anything too heavy, like a ceramic plate. I think would just be too much to put on top of our Nutcracker's head. So what I'm going to use is some plastic plates. I purchased these at Home Goods. Do you remember the dining table scape that we made during the fall? Well, I used these plates. I still have a few of those, so this is going to be the perfect plate for our Nutcracker because it's not too heavy. Now, to go along with that, we need something that we can attach the plate to. Now, the top of our Nutcracker is a little bit rounded on the top of his head, and so our plate will not sit flat against his head. So what I'm gonna do is get this round metal piece. This is an extra piece from our lamp flip that we did last week. I turned some thrifted lamps into some bases for some Christmas trees, and this little round piece was left over. Now, it is not the right color and we want it to be cohesive with our Nutcracker and the base. So I'm gonna take it outside and spray it in that same gold Rust-Oleum spray paint. I made sure that the entire metal circle was covered in the spray paint, then let it dry for 1 hour. Now we've got all of our pieces that are ready to be turned into a Nutcracker cake stand. So what I'm gonna do first of all is get out my Athena drill and drill a hole in the Nutcracker's head. Don't worry, we're just doing this as a way to attach that metal piece to the wooden Nutcracker in a very secure way. Once the pilot hole was drilled, I took the lamp piece, placed it over the top of the hole, put a washer over the hole, and then screwed a screw through the circular metal piece and into the wood Nutcracker's hat. Now we know that the plate on our cake stand will not fall off. Next, I took some E6000 and added it to the bottom of the Nutcracker and then placed it in the center of the wood base. Once that was in place, I let it dry for several hours. Now it's time to add our plate to the top. So I took some more of that E6000, added it to the rim of our metal round. Then I took the plate and pressed it firmly to the metal round. Once the plate was in place, I let it dry for a few more hours. We could leave this Nutcracker as is right now. He's absolutely adorable, but we are going to add some extra embellishments because we want our Nutcracker looking as festive as possible for this holiday season. Now, I have some leftover strings of pearls. I used these pearls in our semicircle ornaments that I hung in front of the wallpaper in the foyer. I purchased this spool at Hobby Lobby. And if you didn't know by now, pearls is one of my accents that I'm using in my Christmas decor this year. So what I did was I added some hot glue to the base of our Nutcracker. And then I got this strand of pearls and I placed it in the hot glue. Once that was in place, I added another segment of these pearls around his hat. I simply just glued those pearls in place, and then I wanted to hide the seam where the metal round was attached to the top of our Nutcracker's hat. So I added another small segment of pearls. I just hot glued those in place. His drum needs a little extra embellishment as well. So I got some thin gold ribbon. I used this ribbon to fancify our village houses on our display in this room. I'm going to use it again. I just tied it into a bow and then hot glued it to the center of the drum. Then I cut one little pearl off of the strand of pearls, hot glued that, and pressed it into the center of the gold bow. Look at our adorable Nutcracker cake stand, you guys. Have you ever seen anything so cute? I love this so much. Not only is it a whimsical, festive piece, but it's classy because of the color scheme and the pearls and bow we added. The plate at the top with the gold scalloped edges around the perimeter adds a touch of class. And you saw how easy this project was to do. It hardly took me any time, but look at how cute it is. We took a Dollar Tree Nutcracker, added a few embellishments to it, and now we have a festive show-stopping cake stand. And not only do we have a festive show-stopping cake stand, but we have it for a fabulous price. After adding up all of the costs that went into creating this cute little Nutcracker, the grand total was $10.25. And look at how similar my Nutcracker looks to our inspiration piece. The inspiration piece was $139.30. So we saved ourselves $129 by making this ourselves. I am so happy that we decided to do this because it fits in with my color scheme and my design taste, which is one of the best things about getting a look for less, is that you can take inspiration from something else but customize it to your own taste. Now we are going to take this a step further. In our inspiration piece photo, they had a cake at the top, so I think we should add one to the top of ours. Let's head on over to Publix and see what we can find. Look at all these delicious cakes and cheesecakes. Such a great selection. Which one should we pick? I think we're gonna go with the cheesecake, and I'll show you what I'm gonna do with it to make it Christmassy. I decided to go with the yummy plain cheesecake. That way we can embellish it and add some festive touches to it. What we're gonna do is sugar some cranberries. You can sugar any kind of berry you want, but I thought cranberries would be perfect for this season. So I've got some cranberries and I want them to be damp, not wet. If they're wet, the sugar will dissolve on the cranberries, but if they're damp, it will stick to it. So what I did was I washed them off and I put them on top of a paper towel so that it would soak up all that water. I also have some fresh mint leaves because the red and the green is gonna look so pretty. And then I have a ramekin filled with sugar, just everyday granulated sugar. So what I'm gonna do is just take my cranberries, my damp cranberries, just pop them into the ramekin filled with sugar, and then I'm just gonna give them a good shake. And you can see how that sugar just starts to cling to those cranberries. We'll roll them around. We want them to be well coated in the sugar. Now that they are, look at how pretty these are. These look like they've been outside in the snow. They are so festive. Okay, so I've already transferred my cheesecake to my Nutcracker cake stand. And what I'm gonna do is just take a couple of these berries and just place them on top. We're gonna put a few on top. We're gonna put a few around the base. I added these cute little cranberries to similar places as our inspiration cake, a few on the top and a couple around the perimeter on the bottom. Next, I'm going to take my fresh mint leaves and place those right in between some of the cranberries. Our inspiration piece had rosemary on it, so you could use that too. I personally like the sweet more than the savory when it comes to my desserts, but the rosemary would be fabulous too. So I've just got a couple of these beautiful green mint leaves. I'm just going to intersperse in between our cranberries. I love the color combination of the red and the green. Okay, here we go. We've got our cheesecake on top of our Nutcracker cake stand. This is such a holiday time saver. If you don't have time to bake a cake or some kind of dessert from scratch, buy one at the store and embellish it. This took me a couple of minutes, but it looks classy, it looks custom, and it looks like I spent a lot of time doing this, even though we did not. This adorable Nutcracker cake stand and cheesecake would be an adorable addition to any Christmas buffet, dessert table, or a small family get-together. I love the way this looks. It's just too cute. We're gonna leave our Nutcracker out because he's too cute to hide. So he's gonna sit here and be my friend for the rest of the video. All right, well, I just kept looking through this Grandin Road magazine, and on the very first page, I found my next dupe. There are these adorable pillows with these exaggerated bows. The color is so festive and bright, and it's one of those pieces that I haven't seen before, which makes me want to make it for myself because I love unique and one-of-a-kind pieces. And another reason why I want to make it is because of the price. It is on sale right now, but it is still $55.65. And I know that we can replicate it for so much less. Now, you guys know that I love those Hobby Lobby pillow coverings. I use them all the time. So I got another one of these. It's an 18 by 18 inch pillow covering, and it's only $3.99, which is such a bargain. Now we are going to take a few creative liberties because the red and green is not going to fit in with my specific color scheme. So we are going to go with the white pillow covering, and the ribbon that I'm going to use is this Merry Christmas ribbon. I have it all over my house. I purchased it at Ross and it was only $6.99 for 10 yards. That is a deal. And this ribbon is wired and it's also canvas, so it's going to adhere really well to the pillow covering. I'm also going to be using some heat and bond. I have used this in so many of my projects in the past. I've used it on pillow coverings. I've used it on a tablecloth. I have a leftover heat and bond, and we don't need that much, so I'm going to cut out a strip the same width as our ribbon. I purchased this heat and bond at Hobby Lobby, and it is only $3.49 for a full yard. There are two sides to the heat and bond. There's a bumpy textured side, and then there's the smooth side. What we want to do is put the bumpy side against the wrong side of our ribbon. I heated my iron up to a medium-high heat. I put the ribbon on top of my easy press mat. You could also use an ironing board. Then I placed the iron over the top. You're going to want to keep the iron in place for about 8 seconds. This is long enough that it will heat it up sufficiently so that it fuses together. I ironed along the entire length of my ribbon. Now you can see that that ribbon is really stiff, and now we can cut it to the size that we want. I want one piece of ribbon that goes the full length of the pillow, so I cut that to size. Then I removed the protective covering over the heat and bond. I placed it over the pillow covering. I took my iron, put it over the top of the ribbon, and this time you leave it in place for about 2 to 3 seconds. I simply moved the iron down the length of the ribbon. Next, I took my second segment of ribbon. I cut that in two. I took the first segment, removed the protective coating off the heat and bond, and placed the ribbon on top of the pillow covering. I put the iron over the top of the ribbon. Now that that's fused to the pillow, I did the exact same thing with my third segment. I removed the protective covering over the heat and bond, placed the ribbon on the pillow covering, heated it up with my iron so that the ribbon was fused well to the pillow covering. Now you can see how well that this ribbon is fused to the pillow. In my opinion, it's better than sewing because you don't have any of the stitch marks that you can see. The ribbon looks pristine. Now we're gonna make our exaggerated bow that goes in the center. So I cut 2 long strips of this ribbon and 1 shorter strip. To create the bow, I took one end and folded it to the center, and then I took the opposite end and folded that to the center. I overlapped the ribbon just a little bit so that I could take my needle and thread and sew the ribbon together. Then I bunched it up. I took my needle and pressed it through the center and continued to do that so that the gather would stay in place. Once I had my first segment sewn together, I moved on and I did the exact same thing with the second segment of ribbon. I took both ends, folded them to the center, sewed them together, bunched the ribbon in the center and sewed it in place. The last loop I need is just a singular loop, so I just wrapped that into a circle and sewed the ends together. I took my first segment of ribbon, sewed it to the pillow, took my second segment of looped ribbon, put it on the opposite side of the first looped ribbon, sewed that together, and then finally grabbed my singular loop and sewed that right to the center of our bow. Now we have our exaggerated bow smack dab in the center, and it couldn't be cuter. I filled my pillow covering with a down pillow insert, and this is the final pillow. I love that over-exaggerated bow. It is so festive, and it's just the cutest thing, you guys. Every time I look at it, I have to smile. How can you not smile when you see that? And one of the best parts about making a pillow like this is that it can be completely customized to your own design style and taste. You could definitely go with those bright, festive pops of color. You could use a pattern ribbon. You could get a pattern or textured pillow covering. There's so many directions you could go when making a festive pillow like this. I'm going to place my pillow on the bench right here in the foyer because I want it to be the first thing that people see when they come through my house. I'm going to swap it out for this pillow that was there. I feel like this pillow is what this pillow wants to be when it grows up, right? So we're gonna put this one in a different room, and we're gonna put this pillow right here on the bench. The Grandin Road website had cute pillows like this, but I have to give an honorable mention to this ornament pillow. How cute is that? This round pillow, oh, adorable. They also had like a lumbar pillow with a little candy cane in the center. And if you liked the pillows with the bows, they also have stockings with these exaggerated bows on them. Super cute. They are expensive, so let's go over the cost of how much I spent to create my duped pillow. After adding up all the expenses, the grand total came out to, what a deal. And look at how similar my pillow covering looks to our inspiration pillow covering. Now, I did not add the cost of my pillow insert when I was calculating all the expenses, so you can take that into consideration as well. But still, our inspiration piece was $55.65. I think I'll take that savings every day of the week. I love our pillow. It looks joyful and merry. If you like this video and want to see more like it, then make sure you're subscribed. Right now I'm posting videos twice a week until mid-December. I'm sharing Christmas decorating ideas, DIYs, room transformation, and so much more. So subscribe so you can join in all of the festive holiday fun. Do you know what we haven't done in a while is a flower arrangement. And I think that's because we've been arranging flowers, botanicals, on my trees and on my garlands and on the lampposts. We've done giant flower arrangements, but we haven't done any singular floral arrangements, so it's about time. Our inspiration piece is from the Horchow website this time. I found this gorgeous Christmas floral arrangement. I love the size. The red flowers are such a nice pop of color. It looks cheerful but expensive. And the reason why it looks expensive is because it is expensive. The cost of this flower arrangement is $696.50. And that's 30% off. It's on sale right now. So that's the sale price of that flower arrangement. So while it is lovely, we will not be spending that amount of money. We will make our own. So the first thing that I need is a gold container. I could not find one that was similar, but I did find one that was cream. This one is from Ross. I love the size and the shape. It's almost identical to our inspiration piece. Luckily for me, this container was on clearance. It was only $8.99. And with a quick color change, it's going to be perfect. So I took this bowl outside and I'm going to spray it in some Krylon gold spray paint. I flipped it upside down because I want to paint the outside only of this container. Once the knobs and the perimeter of this container was completely coated in the gold spray paint, I let it dry for 1 hour. While that is drying, I'm going to lay out all of my festive flowers and greenery, berries, pine cones, and leaves. I picked up several of these flowers at Michael's. I also had a few on hand that I picked out of my floral stash. Our container is now dry, and look at how fabulous it is. It is the perfect shade of gold, and it looks so similar to our inspiration piece. I'm going to create a tape grid, which is much less expensive than using floral foam, and it does the job beautifully. So I ran 2 lines of Scotch tape over the top of the container vertically and 2 lines horizontally. Now I could just grab all of my festive flowers and start adding it to the tape grid. I took my hydrangeas and my bouquets of white and red flowers and simply added them to the container. Next, I moved on and added my magnolia leaves and pine branches to the arrangement. Then I took my gold berries, put those in similar places as our inspiration piece, and finished off our arrangement with several pine cones along the bottom. Isn't this floral arrangement stunning? I absolutely love it. I love it because it's unique. I'm not going with the red flowers this Christmas season, but because they're so subtle, they could fit into any color scheme. You could place a floral arrangement like this in the center of a dining table, on a buffet. You could place this on top of your fireplace. It's an easy and affordable way to bring in a pop of color and add a bit of holiday flair to your living space. Our floral arrangement isn't anywhere near as expensive as our $696.50 inspiration floral arrangement, and I think they look so similar. But they are miles apart when it comes to price. After adding up all the costs that went into my floral arrangement, the grand total was $31.99. What a savings, and I love my flower arrangement just as much. And honestly, you could cut down the costs even further by using flowers that you already have at home. This flower arrangement is a high-end piece that adds a touch of luxury to your Christmas decorations, and it was also so easy to create. It's time to go to the thrift store. We are going to be doing 2 special things today. Number 1, this is a Christmas episode, so we are going to be looking for some Christmas items to transform. And number 2, Natalie, whom you all know and love from Design to the Nines, is coming with me, and she has never been to this thrift store.
I have not. I've been to the building, but not the thrift store itself, so I'm excited.
So we're gonna head on over there and see what we can find. What we're gonna do is we're gonna head inside, and Natalie is going to pick a very random item, and she's gonna be really nice because she's really nice.
I feel like I need to be harder this time, though. Like, I get flack for not being as hard.
I know, but like, we still have to be friends at the end of this. So she's gonna pick an item for me to transform. I'm not gonna see it till I get home and unbag it. And then I'll have to transform it into something that's very Christmassy.
I love it.
I love grandfather clocks. My grandpa had one in his home, and every time it chimed, I just felt so happy. And so every time I see a grandfather clock, it just reminds me of him.
I'm blown away. This might be the best thrift shop I've ever been in. Like honestly, the furniture, the decor, like it's all like money. So good.
This is a great example of how you can get a frame that's very affordable. You may not like the art inside, but look at the frame. It's only $5.99. That's so affordable. My fingers crossed that Natalie does not pick the frog cookie jar. Natalie's getting down on the bottom shelves there, trying to find some special treasures. You found some good stuff?
I found a couple things.
A couple things.
Yep.
She has a cart that's overflowing, so I think it's more than just a couple things. I found some good stuff. Let's head home. We're back in the car after a very successful thrifting shopping experience. Did you find everything?
Yes, it's a great store.
It's a great store, right?
Really good.
The only thing that caused me a bit of concern was a very large garbage sack.
You mean that one right there?
This one right there. Is that for me?
Well, I went dumpster diving in the back while we were shopping, and I just found a trash bag and I put it in here. So.
Oh man, you're really taking the I need to be meaner.
Yeah, I got so much flack from people, I decided to go hard this time.
Yeah, okay, well, there was a frog in there. I hope it's not the frog. But besides that, all right, well, let's head home and I'll open it and hopefully it's not as bad as my gut is telling me that it is.
You'll never know until you
We'll
open
see.
it.
Got home from the thrift store and I carried the garbage bag inside. It's huge. Let's see what it is. Oh, I don't know if I'm ready for this. Oh, what is this, a basket? No, there's light fixtures on it. What is this? Oh my gosh. Okay. All right, well, I like the color. It's nice and gold, shiny gold. That'll go with my Christmas decor. And maybe if I turned it around this way, oh, that could be maybe a Christmas tree. I've got some ideas. Natalie, good choice. I like this. You were kind. I appreciate it. Oh, goody. Well, before we get to transforming that thrifted chandelier, which I might add ended up fabulously, we are going to flip another one of my own finds. I found this on the very tippity top shelf at the thrift store. There are a whole bunch of lamps. I spotted these sensational glass and gold medium-sized lamps. These were too pretty to pass up. The detailing of the glass is so pretty, and you guys know I love gold. So the gold base, the top, and the center were perfect for me. And the lampshades looked brand new. Let's talk about the price. Each one was only $5.99, which is a steal. Here are the cons of the lamp. Now the golds are not in the same tone. The top is really shiny, the middle is definitely oxidized, and the bottom has these little splotches all over it that looks like it's rusty, and it just needs to be changed. Everything needs to be cohesive. And then one of the lamps is broken at the top. You can see the limp light bulb hanging off the side, so that's not gonna work for me either. But for the most part, these lamps were in good shape. I am going to disassemble these lamps. First, I took off the lampshade, then I tipped it on its side and peeled off the bottom, unscrewed the nuts, cut the electrical wire, and then separated each piece individually. Once I was finished disassembling the first lamp, I moved on and did the exact same thing with the second lamp. I laid everything out, and this is actually my favorite part because it's kind of like playing Tetris, where you get to see which piece goes where and what I want to do. I can flip things around. I just love being creative and coming up with different alternative options. Now I have a plan in mind, but we cannot start yet until all of those pieces are cohesive in color. So I took them outside and I'm going to spray them in some gold Rust-Oleum spray paint. I made sure that it's sufficiently painted on the inside and around the rim. There's also these extra cylindrical pieces that are going to come in very handy in the future. Once all of these pieces were painted, I let them dry for an hour. Then I came back, flipped the base over, and painted the top side in the spray paint. Once it was completely covered in the paint, I let it dry for an additional hour. Along with these painted pieces, I also am going to be using 2 wood rounds. I love using these wood rounds. I actually have some on my nightstands right now. They are the base for some lucite reindeer and some frosty snow, and everything is covered in a glass dome. I purchased these at Hobby Lobby, and the ones that I'm using were only $2.49 a piece. So those are painted gold as well. Now I'm going to lay everything out. I've got all my pieces plus the 4 glass pieces from the lamp. It's time to assemble. I'm going to put my wood round down first. I got some E6000 and I added the E6000 to the bottom of one of the glass pieces and placed it in the center of the wood round. Then I took my second glass piece, added the E6000 to the tapered part, and placed that over the top of the first piece. Then I took that little cylindrical piece, added the E6000 around it, and then popped it down into the center. There's a hole that lines up both of these glass pieces, so by putting this little cylindrical piece in there, it actually acts as like a barrier, like a post that's going to hold both of these glass pieces together. So we are lucky that I found this piece amongst all of the lamp parts. All right, so now we've got to add the top. So what we're going to do is use the base as the top. I added the E6000 to the top and pressed it firmly to the glass. I repeated this process with both of my lamps, and then I let everything dry for 8 hours. We have now created some display stands, candle holders, whatever you want to call them. These are so versatile. So versatile, in fact, I think you will be surprised in the way that we use them, which we are going to do in just a minute. I need to go on a quick shopping trip with my mother really fast. We headed over to Burlington Coat Factory and I found these frosted Christmas trees. They are the perfect size. They're not too small, they're not too big. The flocking on it is fabulous, and so is the price. Each one of these Christmas trees was only $14.99, which is a great deal. We are going to fluff up the branches on these Christmas trees. My mother is helping me do that. Look how cute she is. I absolutely love her and appreciate her help. During the holidays, there's nothing better than spending time with family, and my beautiful parents came to visit, which we love. So they're gonna help me out with all my projects. I'm gonna put them to work, right?
That's right.
Okay, so this is my mother Lori and my dad Ed, and I'm grateful that they're here. And I know that everybody loves to know who my parents are and who I belong to. So here we go. We love family, right?
She is ours.
She belongs to us.
Yeah.
Now we are going to decorate these beautiful trees. The first thing that we're going to add is a star. I purchased 2 of these light up stars at Home Goods. They were $12.99 a piece. The coil that is going to hold them in place at the top is far too big for our little trees. So what I'm going to do is just tuck it down a little bit further, and then I got 2 branches and I wrapped it around the coils, which will hold it in place and keep it upright. Next, I'm going to add a segment of that sparkly champagne gold leaf garland, the beautiful leaves that we have right here on our garland on the fireplace. We have it on the Christmas tree. We've got it on our lampposts right over here. We have this beautiful leaf garland in so many areas around this house. So of course, we've got to use them on these trees. I purchased this garland at Hobby Lobby. It was only $13.99, but it was 50% off, so it was a great price. As you know, I love birds and I've got them all over my house. We have some white ornaments on the fireplace in my bedroom. We've got some white sparkly birds on these semicircle ornaments hanging in front of my wallpaper in the foyer and also on the lanterns. Well, I was at Ross and my mother, who is a great shopper, actually found this package of 4 bird ornaments. They are gold with these beautiful feather tails, and the entire package was only $5.99. That is such a deal. So I got 2 boxes of these birds, and I'm going to add them to the tree. Then I took some gorgeous ribbons, the same ribbons that we have throughout the house, more of the pearl picks and gold beads. I filled these trees full of all kinds of ornaments, ribbons, botanicals, everything that we have going throughout this space so that they tie together. Now it's time for the moment of truth. We are going to take our decorated frosted Christmas trees and we are going to put them inside of our candlestick display pieces that we made from the lamps. It fit perfectly inside of the base. The base has this lip, so it's kind of like a bowl, and it just hugged the bottom of these frosted Christmas trees. It could not have fit in there more perfectly. These beautiful glass lamp pieces add elegance and beauty to the bottom of our trees. They raise the trees up. It looks like our trees are on top of an expensive, pricey candlestick. They look luxurious, and of course, they are themed into our Christmas decor. Now you can see the burlap sack at the bottom of the Christmas trees, and I don't want to, so I took some wide satin ribbon and I wrapped it around it so it hid the burlap. Look at how stunning these Christmas trees look. I cannot believe that we were able to create these beautiful glass and gold stands from lamps that we purchased at the thrift store for $5.99. They look stunning. You would never know that that's the way that they started out. The Christmas trees were only $14.99. If you walked into a store and you saw these Christmas trees, you would think that they would cost an arm and a leg. Little do people know that we are bargain shoppers and that we are creative and that we can make some things that fit into our Christmas decor that add elegance and luxury without breaking the bank. I put these trees on either side of my buffet. This is the perfect spot for them. They can flank the mirror and add some height to either side. So our beautiful trees are in place. We've got this whole buffet that we've got to decorate. And we are going to do it in a Frosty Village winter scene. Why? Because that's what we've got throughout our entire house. The kitchen right back there has all of these wintry villages displayed. And then we move to the outskirts of town, which is the breakfast table, and we've got our reindeer in the forest. And then we move to the Christmas tree and the garland on the fireplace and the lampposts. Every wintry village has got to have some lampposts, so that's what we have right here. And now we're coming over to the residential area. So in our residential area, we need to have a few more houses displayed. I don't want to spend a lot of money, so I'm trying to find some houses that are beautiful but affordable. And I found just that when I spotted these tall, slender village houses at Target. They're white and sparkly. These pretty village houses were only $5 a piece. Yeah, fabulous, right? Now, they are pretty plain, but that is not a problem for us. So what I did was I got a Dollar Tree gold paint pen and I outlined the raised portion on these houses. I'm going to trace around the windows, all of the window panes, the door frame, and any other details that I want highlighted. The house already looks so much better now, but there are some swags on our house which I want to highlight. Now, if you remember, I made some ornaments out of these little wreaths that I purchased at Hobby Lobby. I had some left over. What I did was I untwisted the wreath and pulled it into a straight line. This is wired. There's a wreath on the front door, so I bent this greenery into a circle and then hot glued it to the door. Then I got a segment of thin gold ribbon, tied it into a bow, and hot glued it to the wreath. I took another segment of this wired leaf garland, bent it into a swag, and then hot glued the greenery right over the swag that's on the house. I took more of the thin gold ribbon, tied it into a bow, and then hot glued it to the center of the swag. I did this one more time. I cut a segment of the greenery, bent it into a swag, hot glued it to the top portion of the village house, and then added a gold bow to the center. As many of you know, pearls is a big accent that I'm using in my Christmas decorations this year. So I'm going to add a few little pearls throughout the wreath and the garlands to tie in with all the other pearls that we have in the room. But I think the pearls just add that pretty little touch of luxury and add an elegant detail to these houses. Look at how adorable these houses look. They started out as sparkly $5 Target houses that were very plain. This took me a couple of minutes to embellish, but it looks so customized now. I love the gold trim around all the windows, the swags and the wreath add a pop of color. The pearls and the gold bow add elegance to our houses. If you're looking for a way to get a substantial Christmas decoration that is not going to break the bank, these little village houses from Target are fabulous. So what I'm going to do with these is I'm going to place them on top of a clear cake stand. What I did was I got one of those frosted wreaths that I used in my bedroom. I purchased these at Hobby Lobby. I had some extras. So I put that on top of the cake stand, and now I can take my little village house and place that right in the center of the wreath. The frosted wreath adds additional color and texture, which is perfect for our little village display. What I decided to do first was add a cream runner. This is the perfect size and the perfect color because it doesn't take away from any of the other details that we have on it because it is pretty busy. So we want the runner to be there but kind of just disappear. On top of that, I put a mirrored tray. This is a large mirrored tray. It's got a gold rim around it, and I love the reflection that a mirror adds to the space. In the center, I have a large village house that I purchased a couple years ago at Home Goods. This village house was a little more expensive. I think it was around $50, but it's offset by the fact that we have our $5 Target ones. So we splurged in some areas and we saved in others. Then off to the side, I have some lucite reindeer. I purchased these at Hobby Lobby. The lucite coordinates beautifully with our glass lamp display pieces, and these pretty little reindeer have some silver antlers, which is great because our color scheme again is the champagne gold, gold, touches of pewter, and winter white. So the silver on our lucite reindeer ties all that pewter color together. So I've got one kneeling down on one side and one standing up on the other side. And we have the most important person in the village front and center, and of course that is Santa Claus. So we've got him standing up right in front of one of our little village houses, and then I filled the entire display with all kinds of bottle brush Christmas trees. I've got them in a variety of different sizes and shapes, and some I even added to little teeny tiny votive candle holders. So it has like a little Christmas tree base. Isn't that adorable? So I've got these displayed, and having them inside of these votive candle holders is a great way to add extra color and height to these bottle brush trees. I love the way this entire village scene looks. From the flocked Christmas trees displayed on top of our reinvented glass lamps, to the embellished winter village houses, and all of the other festive holiday touches, this truly looks like a magical winter scene. It's time to decorate the front porch for Christmas. We are going to be creating some giant ornaments, light up tree toppers, and spectacular decorations, and everything that we are making is under $10. I wanted to make a huge impact when you walked up to my front door, and I've got those 2 large cypress trees on either side of the porch. We are going to make some giant ornaments to go on these trees. I headed over to Hobby Lobby for some inspiration. I wandered around the party section and I saw these paper lanterns and the light bulb went on. I got 2 packages of these lanterns. I got a white one and also a gold one. There are 3 paper lanterns per package and each one is only $2.99, which is such a great deal. We are going to work with the white ones first. So I pulled those out of the bag, puffed them up so they went from a flat lantern to a full round one. I took the middle insert that holds the lantern in place and pulled it through the middle, which will now hold the lantern's round shape. I repeated this process on all 3 of my white round lanterns. Every ornament needs a little topper so we can hang it from the tree. So I headed back to the party section at Hobby Lobby and I found these snack cups. Once again, I got 2 colors, the white one and the gold one. These snack cups were $1.49, but they were on sale. I need a hole in each of the paper cups, so I got out my Athena drill and I drilled a hole into each of the 3 paper cups. I'm using a small drill bit, so the hole is very hard to detect, but large enough that I can fit one of my favorite decorating tools of all time, which is the fishing line. So I got out my fishing line and I poked the end of the fishing line through the hole, made a loop, and then poked it back through the hole. Then I tied the ends of the fishing line into a knot. For good measure, I'm going to add some hot glue over the knot on the inside of the cup so I know that the fishing line is securely attached to the cup. I repeated this process with all 3 of the snack cups and fishing line. Now I'm going to glue these snack cup toppers to my paper lanterns. The opening at the top of the lantern is too big, so we're actually going to be flipping our lanterns upside down and we're going to put the paper cup over this hole because it fits perfectly. I added some hot glue around the opening, then took my paper cup and pressed it into the hot glue. Once I was finished gluing my paper cup to the first lantern, I proceeded to do the exact same process with all 3 sizes of my paper lanterns. They are starting to look a lot like ornaments and I am loving it. So next we're going to take those gold paper lanterns out of the package, inflate those. I put the metal pieces inside of the lantern to hold them in place. I'm going to use some white snack cups this time. I drilled holes in the center, got my fishing line, poked it through the hole, made a loop, poked the end back and tied it into a knot. Then added a little bit of hot glue on the knot on the inside of the cup for good measure. Then I added hot glue around the opening of the lantern and pressed the snack cup right into the hot glue so that the snack cups were sufficiently attached to the paper lanterns. Now we have our white ornaments with the gold toppers and our gold ornaments with the white toppers. We want to tie both of these together even more, and so what I'm going to do is get some ribbon. This is ribbon that I have used multiple times throughout my house. I have some white ribbon with some gold and silver snowflakes. I tied this ribbon into a bow, added hot glue right at the base of the paper cup where it meets the lantern. I took my bow and pressed it into the hot glue. Then I got a smaller paper lantern, added hot glue to the bottom of the paper cup and pressed the bow right into the hot glue. On my 3rd paper lantern, I'm going to make a stripe right in the center. So I added hot glue to the ribbon and I pressed it to the paper lantern. I went around the entire circumference of this paper lantern. Once I got back to where I started, I added hot glue and pressed the ribbons together. I did this one more time with a smaller paper lantern. I added hot glue to the paper lantern, put my ribbon in the hot glue, wrapped it around the paper lantern, and then hot glued the ends together. Because our color scheme this year is a winter white, a champagne gold, gold and pewter, I wanted to add some more of that pewter into this design. I have been using this gorgeous pewter and gold ribbon that I purchased at Hobby Lobby. It's got these sparkly gold Christmas trees in the center, so that's what we're going to use next. So I tied this Christmas tree ribbon into a bow, and then I hot glued it to the snack cup on the paper lantern. I did this one more time with one more pewter and gold Christmas tree bow. I simply hot glued it to the paper cup on the smaller ornament. And just like our other ornament, we're going to add a stripe of this ribbon. I simply just hot glued the ribbon in place. And then the final ribbon that we're going to be using is some thin white and gold ribbon. It's a little bit transparent and it's wired on the edges. I simply tied this into a bow and added it to each of the toppers on 2 more of my lanterns. Now that our toppers are on and the bows are on, we need to add one more final little bit of sparkle to our ornaments. I have these clear plastic snowflakes with all this frosted snow and sparkles all over it. They are so pretty, and they are going to be added so that they hang smack dab in the center of our ornaments. The way we are going to hang them from the ornaments is with some boutonniere pins. These will work great, and one thing I love about them is that they have pearls on the end, and another theme that I have going throughout my home this year for Christmas are all these pretty little pearls, so the pearls will tie in beautifully to our ornaments. All I did was push that boutonniere pin through the ribbon on the snowflake and then poked it through the paper cup. I'm surprised how well the boutonniere pin alone worked holding this ornament in place. Once I was done hanging the first snowflake onto my ornament, I simply just moved on and added snowflakes to the rest of the paper lanterns by poking the boutonniere pin through the ribbon and then onto the snack cup on the ornament. We are done with our adorable paper lantern ornaments. Look at how cute these are, you guys. Oh, I love them so much. I did not know they were going to turn out this cute. I had an idea, but this definitely exceeded my expectations. I love the size of these ornaments. They are huge. And when it comes to Christmas, the bigger the better, right? I love the color scheme that we have, the white and the gold with the white and the gold toppers and the beautiful ribbons. The color scheme fits in perfectly with my design scheme throughout the rest of the house. And because we are hanging these on the trees outside, this is the first thing that people are going to see when they walk up to the house. So they're going to get an idea of what they can expect throughout the rest of the house because they are seeing these gorgeous ornaments that look so classy and cute with the color scheme. I love those pretty little snowflakes in the middle. Look at that. What a fun winter element to add to this center. And let's talk about how affordable these were to make. Each package of paper lanterns was $2.99. The cups were inexpensive to begin with, and then they were on sale. The ribbons I already had, and the snowflakes were on sale as well. So for 6 ornaments, I spent less than $10, and they are huge. They make such an impact on my tree outside. And look at how good my trees are looking, you guys. I should get Gardener of the Year for keeping my artificial trees alive. But these trees are a great backdrop to these ornaments. The white and gold ornaments pop against the green. I'm going to mix up these ornaments. I'm going to add 3 per tree. I'm going to make sure that each tree has a different size and color ornament. These paper lanterns are just too cute, you guys, and they were so easy to make. And the best part is they were extremely affordable. They're definitely front porch Christmas showstoppers. Now that our ornaments are hung on the tree, we need something equally as fabulous to put at the base. Now, underneath every Christmas tree, you have Christmas presents. So we are going to make some giant Christmas presents that I think you will love. Now, when I was at Hobby Lobby wandering around the party section, another item that popped out to me were these block boxes. I've seen these boxes at baby showers. You typically fill them up with balloons, but we are going to completely transform these boxes today. Another wonderful thing about these boxes is that for a package of 4 boxes, it was only $7.99. So we are definitely keeping our prices down today. The first thing we need to do is pull these boxes out of the packaging and start to assemble them. This process went by so quickly. All I needed to do was fold the bottom of the boxes so that they fit together, and then I folded the top down. It took me a few minutes to assemble these 4 boxes. Now, I am not going to be filling my boxes up with balloons. However, if you wanted to do that, that's a great affordable option. You could get some balloons that fit in with your Christmas color scheme and put those inside, and it would be absolutely fabulous. Instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to fill my boxes up with some more gift boxes. I'm going to wrap up some small boxes that I'm going to gather up around my house. You guys, I got some cracker boxes. I got some Rice Krispie treat boxes. They don't need to be anything fancy. Just get some small boxes that you have around the house. I also have beautiful wrapping paper that I purchased at Ross. There are 2 kinds that coordinate beautifully together. They each have white and gold. However, one has Christmas trees on it and the other has snowflakes. I simply wrapped these boxes in the wrapping paper. I am not an expert at wrapping gifts, but my great-grandmother was. The way that she wrapped her gifts was amazing. They were almost too pretty to open. It was like origami. She didn't even use tape. I don't know how she did it. She just made these folds where the paper came together. I, however, just used tape. All right, now I've got 2 other gift boxes that are just plain white. Instead of wrapping these up, I'm going to get some champagne gold ribbon. Once again, I purchased this ribbon at Hobby Lobby. I just wrapped it around the center of the gift box and tied it into a bow. So I repeated this process with both of my white gift boxes. Now I'm going to pair these boxes up. I wanted to make sure that each pairing had a different design of wrapping paper or one of those boxes with the champagne gold bow. Then I opened the lid on my block box and added my gift packages to the inside. I made sure that the taller one was in the back and the shorter one was in the front so that you could see them both. And because the block boxes are so tall, I wanted to make sure that I had a taller element in the back so that it took up all of the space. If you like decorating videos like this, then you have come to the right place. Right now I'm posting videos twice a week on Christmas room transformations, holiday decorations, DIYs, and so much more. So make sure you're subscribed so you can join in on all of the holiday fun. I still have a little bit of room left in my block boxes, so we're going to fill it up with some ornaments. I have some gorgeous ornaments that will fit in beautifully with our color scheme. These are all plastic, which is great because we want them to be resistant to weather and drop resistant. We don't need these to shatter and break. I chose striped ornaments and some textured ornaments, shiny gold ornaments in a variety of different shapes, sizes, and colors that coordinate with the color scheme on my front porch. Now it's time to stack these boxes because we want to add height to the porch outside. So what I did was I got some hot glue and I added hot glue to the corner of one of the block boxes. Then I took a second block box and added it to the top. I put them at an angle. I didn't want them to be stacked exactly straight up right on top of each other, so putting them at an angle gives them more interest. Once the first 2 boxes were stacked, I did the same thing with my other block boxes. I added hot glue to the corner of the bottom box and then placed the second box on top at an angle. Every present needs a bow at the top, so we're going to create some big, fat, beefy bows to put at the top of our block boxes. A few of you have asked for a bow tutorial, so I'm going to give you one really quickly. However, you guys, I promise you, this is nothing special. This is how I create my bows, and it's a piece of cake. So what I'm going to do is grab my white snowflake ribbon first. I created 2 loops, then I got my pewter and gold Christmas tree ribbon, and I looped that ribbon as well. I intermixed the 2 loops together. While I'm doing this, I'm holding the ribbon tightly together at the bottom, kind of like you would hold a bouquet of flowers. Then I took my floral wire and wrapped it tightly around the bottom of all the ribbons and then twisted the wire together. And that's how I make my bows. Super easy, simple. So hopefully that little tutorial helped a few of you know how to create some giant bows. Now we are going to take the bows that I made and we are going to hot glue them to the top of the box. So I just got a little bit of hot glue and I added it to the top corner of the first stack of boxes. And then I did the exact same thing with the second stack of boxes. I just added hot glue to the top at an angle and then pressed the bow into the hot glue. The bows add an additional bit of height to our boxes and tie the color schemes together. And that's it for this project. You guys, seriously, how cute is this? I just can't even tell you how adorable this is. You cannot help but smile when you walk up to the front door and see this stack of gifts. I love that we put presents inside and it was so affordable to do. I literally just got empty boxes from around the house and wrapped them with wrapping paper. The stacked boxes themselves for 4 boxes was $7.99. I didn't purchase any additional ornaments to put inside. These are ornaments that I just had at home that were left over. And then of course we've got the ribbon that I already had as well. So to create 4 boxes of these, it was under $10. What a great deal, and what a huge impact these boxes make on the front porch. You could even put these inside. Like, how cute would this be to put like at the base of your tree or like right in front of a fireplace? These are so versatile. You could put them anywhere and you could fill them up with a whole bunch of different items. I love how these boxes coordinate beautifully with the ornaments on our tree. The wrapping paper is an elegant, classy touch because of the colors and the subtle pattern and the bows at the top. And the best thing about these boxes is that they are budget friendly. Every Christmas tree needs a tree topper and I do not have any left. So we are going to have to make some new tree toppers to go on our trees outside. We are going to do that with some scrap wood. This is the same wood that we used to create our sign. Do you remember the Burningham sign? So cute. We are going to use that wood again. It was actually left over from this entertainment center makeover that I did earlier in the year. Well, I might as well use the wood that I already have so I can keep things as cheap as we can possibly do it. I'm going to take a uniquely shaped star and place it over a piece of wood. You can see that I'm stacking 2 pieces of wood on top of each other. That way, when I cut it out, they will be identical. I grabbed my gloves, my Elias safety glasses, and my jigsaw. I cut along the lines that I had traced out on my wood. This process went by pretty quickly, and in no time I had 2 identical stars cut out. I want my stars to shine, literally, so we are going to be putting some lights on there. But first, we need some holes so that we can poke these lights through the star. So we are going to drill several holes along the perimeter. Again, I'm using my Athena drill. I drilled holes about 3/4 of an inch away from each other along the perimeter of the stars. Once again, I made sure that these stars stayed stacked on top of each other because this will make them identical, and it also cuts down a whole lot of time of having to do this process twice. Now that all the holes were drilled into my stars, I got a sanding sponge and sanded everything smooth. We are going to stain our stars. I loved the way that my sign looked last week with the stain on it, so we might as well use it again. And this way you can see the wood grain, which I think is so pretty. So I got a napkin and I just dipped it into the stain and then I rubbed it all over the surface of the wood star. I wanted to make sure that the star was completely covered in the stain. Once it was, I wiped off all of the excess stain. Then I repeated this process with the other wood star. I love the way that they look. You can see the wood grain. I think it's beautiful. Once the stain had been wiped off of both of the stars, I let the stain dry for 4 hours. I'm going to add some battery-operated lights to my stars. These lights are from Target, And all I did was just poke them through the holes that I made. These lights are wired, so they went into the holes easily and they stayed in place. One giant mistake that I made when I was drilling the holes is that I got overzealous. I was in the zone, I was just drilling those holes along the perimeter, and I drilled too many. That's not a big deal, we're gonna make it work anyways. I just had to skip some of the holes. I should have counted before I started drilling, but what's done is done. And honestly, you can't even tell that I skipped some of the stars. Once I was done adding all the lights to the first star, I did the exact same thing with the second star and the string of battery operated lights. We don't want to see the wire poking out the sides of the stars, so I flipped it over and I bent the wire in so that it didn't poke out. The last thing we need to do is figure out a way to hang these stars on the tree. We are going to do it with a 6-inch segment of floral wire. I cut a segment of this and then bent it in half so that there was a point. Then I got some hot glue. I added hot glue to the bottom third of the star and then poked the floral wire into the hot glue. Once I was done adding the floral wire to the first star, I repeated the process with my second star. Now I have a way that I can attach my star to the tree outside. And we're done with our little star tree toppers. Look at how cute these little things are. And to think that we made these out of scrap wood and battery operated Christmas lights. That was such an easy, cheap thing to do. And honestly, you can't even tell that there's too many holes. Shh, it'll just be our secret, nobody will know. I'm going to attach these stars to the top of the cypress trees outside. I just wired it to the top, and now our trees are complete. Look at how fabulous my front porch looks now. We have our giant ornaments that make such a huge impact on our cypress trees. We've got our giant gift boxes at the base, which add an element of excitement and anticipation for Christmas morning. We've got our light up stars at the top of our cypress trees, which bring in that additional sparkle and shine at the top. And of course, the best part about each of these decorations is the price. We kept it below $10, and that was for all of the ornaments, $10 for all the gifts, and definitely under $10 for our light up wood stars. So just know that you can decorate your home for the holidays on a budget. You can decorate the outside affordably, you can decorate the inside affordably, and you can still live beautifully in the process. We are heading to the thrift store. We are going to find some hidden gems and flip them into some high-end home decor. And then we are going to take those pieces and decorate my dining room for Christmas. You guys, it looks spectacular in there. I can't wait to show you. Let's get started on our first thrift flip. Now, a few of you have seen this piece before. I actually bought this thrifted piece a couple years ago. It is this nativity. I have loved this nativity. It is so beautiful. It's a great size. The color tone is beautiful with its light pastels, and the glossy finish is perfect. Don't worry, we are not going to touch the Holy Family, but what has bothered me for years is the color of the base. It's this dark reddish mahogany. The color contrast between the beautiful soft pastels of the nativity figurines and the dark mahogany wood base is too stark, and I don't love it. So we are going to paint over this base, and we're going to do it in a soft champagne spray paint. What I need to do is tape off the figurines. So I put a plastic sack over the top, then I got some blue painter's tape and taped really well around the ceramic pieces so that only the wood base was exposed. Then I took this piece outside. I'm using some Behr spray paint. in a gloss finish in the color gold. I purchased this spray paint at Home Depot. I made sure that the base was completely covered in the spray paint. Once everything was sufficiently coated, I let it dry for 2 hours. Now all I have to do is remove the plastic bag and the blue painter's tape. And look at how amazing this piece looks now. That quick color change made all the difference. The soft champagne color blends in beautifully with the pastels of the figurines. This is the color the base should have always been. It's a 100% improvement. We are going to display our nativity in a very beautiful and unique way because we want it to stand out. So what I'm going to do is get a large rectangular piece of styrofoam. I have used the styrofoam before. You can definitely see that it has been used. I can use it again. It's not a big deal. It's like the floral foam. So we're not going to go out and buy anything new. We're going to reuse this piece of styrofoam. I'm going to create an arch with 2 large gold branches. I purchased these branches a few years ago at Michael's. If you can't find gold branches like this or don't want to spend the extra money, then just go on a little treasure hunt outside and see if you can find some sticks, and then you can spray paint those gold. So what I did with mine is I poked one branch on one side of the styrofoam block and then poked the other branch on the opposite side. I'm going to blend them together and intertwine the branches so that they are connected. These branches are going to add height and drama to our display. I was thinking, how fun would it be to hang a star right above our nativity? So I thought about things and I was like, how am I gonna hang a star? And then I remembered during the summertime, I purchased this Dollar Tree plant hanger. It's been in my craft closet for a while. I pulled that out. The black color is not gonna work, but that beautiful shade of gold is. I took it outside and I sprayed the plant hanger in the bare gold gloss spray paint. Once the first side was coated in the spray paint, I let it dry for 1 hour. I came back, flipped it over, and painted the opposite side. Then I let it dry for an additional hour. I'm going to take this plant hanger and I'm going to poke it in the back, right in the center, in between the branches. The plant hanger is not only going to hold the star, but you can see it straightens out the branches that have a tendency to want to lean forward. So this plant hanger is a great all-around solution. We cannot leave the bottom of the styrofoam plain. We've got to add some beautiful Christmas botanicals. So what I'm going to do is get some stems of white leaves. I took a few and then I got a floral pin and I attached the leaves to the styrofoam with these pins. I also got some pine branches and frosty leaves and attached those to the styrofoam with the floral pins as well. Next, I took my newly painted nativity and placed that in the center of all the greenery. It is a perfect fit. Once my nativity was in place, I scattered a few branches of gold berries throughout the greenery to add a color contrast. Now we're going to add the star to the plant hanger. We are going to use this tree topper that broke a couple of years ago. I've tried to tape it back together and glue it back together. It's not happening. So we're just gonna use the star now. Now this has got some like round metal on the back, which is so convenient because now we can just take it and hook it right onto our plant hanger. Now we have a star that hangs right above our nativity scene. It's so great that that plant hanger that is newly painted gold blends in beautifully with those gold branches. You can hardly even see it in the back. So the star looks like it's hanging mysteriously above our figurines. We are going to add this beautiful nativity display to the countertop right there in my dining room. But before we do that, we've got to beautify that countertop. Now I've got a mirror in the middle, and so I need something tall to go on either side to balance out that space. I've got these large glass vases that are going to be perfect. Because there is so much glass exposed, I'm going to add a ribbon to the top third. I purchased this champagne ribbon at Hobby Lobby. I'm getting some double-sided tape and I'm placing that on the glass. Then I'm going to wrap the champagne ribbon around the vase and simply press it to the double-sided tape, which will keep it in place. I'm going to add some large topiary balls to the top. These are styrofoam balls. I covered them in pine branches, white berries, and a few strands of gold beads. And then I also poked in a few pieces of gold berries. I added a sparkly snowflake ornament to the center. And then I have these icicle ornaments. And what I did was I threaded some fishing line through the hole on the ornament, made a little hole, and then I'm gonna take a boutonniere pin. You guys know I love using those boutonniere pins because they have those pretty little pearls on the end. And I poked it through the fishing line and directly into the styrofoam. So now these beautiful icicles can drape down from the styrofoam ball. I also added a few segments of the pewter ribbon with the gold Christmas trees. And finally, I wanted to tie in a little bit more of that pewter, so I wrapped a segment of satin pewter ribbon around the center of the champagne gold ribbon and tied it into a bow. I repeated this process with both of my vases and topiary balls. They are elegant, decorative pieces that add height, sparkle, and beauty to each side of the mirror. Now we've got a long countertop in there and we want to fill it up with a beautiful garland. I have a pine garland and I wrapped some Christmas lights around this garland. Then I took a second garland that I purchased at Hobby Lobby. It's this beautiful sage leaf garland. The leaves are frosted and there's some white berries, and I just intertwined those two garlands together. I love the color contrast, and I also love how intertwining these two garlands make it more substantial. I also added some white leaves and gold berries, the same botanicals that I added to the styrofoam rectangle on our nativity display. In the center, I have a computer riser. These are just those risers that you put on your counter to raise up your computer so your posture's a little bit better. Well, I'm gonna use this. It's gonna be fabulous for this display because it's long and slender and it's glass, so you can see all of the pretty sparkly lights underneath. Now it's time for thrift flip number 2. When I go to the thrift store, I will occasionally stock up on pieces for a day just like today where I need something fabulous. Well, the last time I went shopping with Natalie to the thrift store, I picked up this gorgeous cut glass piece. I believe it was either a pendant light or part of some kind of chandelier because there's a hole in the top. I'm guessing this is where the electrical or the light bulb was originally. The crisscross cut glass detail is so pretty. It's very heavy, so I know it's good quality. And the price of this beautiful glass piece was only $7.99. The problem is this thing is dirty, like so dirty. You guys, I think there are remnants of a spider that's crusted up and dead inside. So this thing definitely needs a good wash. But besides that, it is in perfect condition. So after a good washing, it is as good as new. The same time I purchased this glass piece, I also purchased 2 lamps. I flipped these lamps into gorgeous bases for my Christmas trees that are on top of my buffet. Well, I have some leftover pieces from that lamp that I saved. I've got a round metal piece that has a hole in the center. We have a gorgeous crystal topper that held the lampshade in place. The only problem with these pieces is the color. Both of them are discolored. They are quite weathered, so what I'm going to do is tape off the crystal ball and leave the metal piece exposed. I took both of these pieces outside and I sprayed them in that same gold Bear spray paint. I made sure that both of these pieces were sufficiently coated in the gold spray paint, and then I let them dry for an hour. I came back and flipped the circular metal piece over and spray painted the opposite side and then let that dry for an hour. Now that my pieces are painted, I can remove the blue painter's tape from around the crystal ball, and to look at how beautifully these pieces look now. They look brand new. It's amazing what a quick coat of paint can do. We're going to attach these leftover lamp pieces to our glass piece with some E6000. I ran the E6000 along the rim of my glass piece, and then I took my circular metal piece and placed it over the top. It is a perfect fit. And then I took my crystal knob, added E6000 to the bottom of that, and pressed it over the top of the metal piece, and then I let it dry overnight. Now our beautiful cloche is completed. Look at how pretty this is, you guys. And all we had to do was give this glass piece a really good wash and create a topper out of additional thrifted pieces that we saved from previous flips. What I'm going to do with this beautiful glass cloche is I'm going to place it over a nativity piece. Now we've got an additional nativity that we are going to scatter throughout the garland. This nativity is from Guatemala, and it is so special to me. I love it so much. The terracotta pieces match beautifully with my design scheme. I placed Mary and the baby Jesus on top of a marble piece, and now I'm going to take my glass cloche and I'm just going to put it right over the top. This tall cloche draws your eye to this beautiful scene. Now, because I have a cloche on this side, I need to put a cloche on the opposite side because I'm all about symmetry. This was another thrift flip that I did a while back. Inside of this cloche, I'm going to add an angel. And then I simply just scattered the rest of my nativity pieces throughout the garland. I spread them out equally so you could see each piece individually. And now it's time to take our first thrift flip, which was our nativity, and place this display directly in the center. I love the height that this nativity adds. It fits perfectly over the top of the riser. And look at how beautiful our completed scene is. I love both of the nativities that we have on our countertop. The thrifted nativity scene in the middle is the showstopper. This draws your eye to the additional nativities that we place between the garland. This is a wonderful addition that fits in with our nativity theme. The tall vases with the topiaries on top add height and scale to the back wall. The cut glass cloche adds dimension with its reflective lights, and it casts a beautiful glow throughout the garland. The cloches are also a great way to highlight those important pieces in our nativity. And look at how beautiful this display looks at night with those twinkling lights. The lights illuminate all of our pieces and bring a bit of magic to our display. Now it's time to set our dining table for Christmas. You've got to start off with a tablecloth. The tablecloth I chose is this cream tablecloth, and it's got some flecks of gold running through. I'm choosing a fairly neutral tablecloth because we want our pieces on top to be the focal point. I'm going to layer a snowflake runner over the top. I like layering my linens. I think it adds dimension and a bit of interest. This is a lace runner with snowflakes on it that I purchased at Hobby Lobby. I want to create a long centerpiece that goes down the entire center of the table. So what I'm going to do first is get a riser. I purchased this riser at Target. It has a marble top. However, this marble top is too small for what I want to put on top. So what I'm going to do is get an additional marble tile. You guys know these marble tiles. I have them throughout my entire house. I love using them. I purchased them at Lowe's. So what I'm going to do is just add this additional tile to my riser. This will give me the additional length and size that I need. On either side of my riser, I'm going to place a marble round. I purchased these marble rounds at Ross. They're elevated just a little bit. They've got teeny little feet on it. So each side gets a marble round. We're going to take some more of this sage garland that I purchased at Hobby Lobby. I actually purchased 3 of them. So we've got 1 for the back wall and we've got 2 for the centerpiece. I wound them around the risers and marble pieces. And then I'm going to fill them with some pine branches. I've got more of those white leaves. I've got some gold berries, a few poinsettias, and 2 white birds. We've got to have some birds in here. In fact, I forgot to mention that I've got birds on my little topiaries up here. So we've got 4 little white birds in here, which tie in all the birds that we have throughout the rest of our house. Because this room is themed with nativities, we are going to add a nativity to our centerpiece. I'm going to add some nativity pieces on top of the marble. Each side gets a camel and a wise man. And then on top of the marble rectangle, I'm going to place the other figurines and animals to the center. I'm going to take a small cake stand, add Mary, Joseph, and the baby Jesus. The cake stand will raise these figurines up. And because we have cloches back here, we're going to add some cloches to our centerpiece. So I've got 1 large one that I'm going to put over the Holy Family, and then I've got 2 smaller ones that I'm going to put over the camel and the wise men. Around these 2 smaller cloches, I'm going to take some more of this ribbon that I have on our bases and tie it around the top. This beautiful pewter satin ribbon will tie in that color scheme, but it will also break up all of that glass and add another detail to our cloches. And then I also have 2 glass Christmas trees that I'm going to put on the center riser. These Christmas trees tie into the glass Christmas trees that are on the foyer table behind. Finally, I've got some glass candle holders, and I'm going to put some white tapered candles inside of this. I love adding candles to my dining tablescapes. The flicker from the candle is so magical. It's what makes this whole space come alive, and I love the warmth and glow that it adds to the tablescape as well. One last piece I'm going to add is this Joy Noel sign. I purchased this at Michael's, and I'm just going to put it right in front of our nativity scene in the middle. And now our beautiful centerpiece is complete. I love that it takes up the entire length of the table. It's thin enough that it doesn't take up too much space, but it's grand enough to make a statement. I love how we're highlighting more of these nativity pieces. Adding the cloches and raising them up on the risers and marble pieces is a great way to do this. The marble is classy, and the ribbons and the garland tie in the back countertop in with this centerpiece. Now it's time to set our individual place settings, and we're going to start with a beautiful snowflake charger. Look at how cute those are, you guys. I purchased 2 sets of 4 at Ross. A set of 4 of these chargers was only $7.99, so that's only $2 per charger. That's a great deal. And look at how pretty the detail is along the edge. Oh, I just love it. Okay, so each place setting gets one of these beautiful snowflake chargers. To the center, I have a white plate. This has a gold rim around it, which ties the charger and the plates together. To the center of our white plate, I'm going to add a smaller salad plate. This is a paper plate, you guys. I purchased these at Home Goods. Using paper plates is a great way to save money, but it also cuts down on cleanup because you can just throw these right away, which is perfect during the holiday season. This set of 16 was only $3.99, and it fits in beautifully with our color scheme. It's got the white and the gold, and I love these scalloped edges around it. Now that our plates are set, it's time to move on to thrift flip number 3. Each place setting needs a napkin. And I found this bag of cloth napkins at the thrift store. It looked very promising, and I figured I had nothing to lose because the price of this entire bag of napkins was only $4.99. I pulled these napkins out of the bag, and they were in great shape. A few of them were a little dirty, but that's nothing that a good wash in the washing machine can't fix. You guys, there were 12 napkins in this bag. That's such a great bang for your buck. I couldn't believe how many were in there, and for $4.99, that was definitely a score. Now, we do not want to leave these napkins plain. We want to theme them into the holidays. So what I'm going to do is add a Christmas tree to the corner of these napkins. I created a Christmas tree design on my Cricut design space. My Cricut Maker cut out these Christmas trees on some smart iron-on vinyl. I weeded away the excess vinyl from around each of the Christmas trees and then cut the Christmas trees out individually. Even though I have 12 napkins, I'm only going to be adding Christmas trees to 8 of them because I have 8 place settings in there. So the additional 4 napkins I can just put in a bread basket to cover everything up. Don't worry, we will definitely use them. So what I'm going to do is heat up my Easy Press to 330 degrees and set the timer for 30 seconds. I placed the Christmas tree right in the corner of the cloth napkin. Then I put my Easy Press over the top, hit the start button, and once the 30 seconds were over, I removed the Easy Press and then peeled away the protective coating. Look at how pretty those Christmas trees are on the napkins. Oh, I love it so much. That champagne gold is the perfect shade of gold. So after my first Christmas tree was in place, I just moved on and continued to do this with the remaining Christmas trees and napkins. I put them on the corner of my napkin and then I put the Easy Press over the top. Once the timer was up, I pulled the Easy Press away and then removed the protective coating. I did this with each of my 8 napkins. Can you see how stunning I tell you, that Christmas tree looks on the corner of that napkin? It was so easy to do, and for $4.99 for 12 napkins, that is a great bargain. So what I'm gonna do now is get a napkin ring. I purchased a box of these Christmas tree napkin rings from Ross. A set of 4 was only $7.99. The problem was I could only find 1 box of these napkin rings. So what we're gonna do is combine the Christmas tree napkin rings with these gold and crystal round napkin rings. This is a great solution if you only have enough napkin rings for half of the table. There's nothing wrong with intermixing 2 different types of napkin rings, especially if they are in the same color family. This has gold on it and this is solid gold, so they coordinate. I'm going to alternate. I'm going to put the napkin with the Christmas tree napkin ring down first, and then the napkin with the crystal napkin ring. I alternated those throughout the table. Now it's time for the silverware. I've got my favorite B monogram silverware that I'm going to add to either side of my plate. And then I've got my goblet in the back, and then next to that I have a smaller cut glass goblet. This pretty goblet is for a specialty drink. Usually we put some sparkling cider in here, but I've actually made Jell-O and put Jell-O in here before, which everybody loved. But you could put some fruit or something else in these little specialty cups and just place them right next to your drink goblet. And the thing that I love about these cut glass cups is that it coordinates beautifully with our cut glass cloche, so those items tie together. Our table settings and our centerpiece are now finished, and this table is ready to be admired. This entire tablescape is beautiful and classic. If you notice, we kept the color palette very neutral. We don't have any one color that overwhelms or takes over the space. Everything is light and bright. Because we want this room to be full of nativities, we were able to add those beautiful pieces, not only on the back wall, but here on the centerpiece as well. Because for us, Christmas is the celebration of the birth of Christ, so we want that to be front and center. We have nativities on the tablescape. We've got the terracotta nativity from Guatemala on the countertop. And of course, we've got our thrifted nativity in the center. The final piece in this room is this foyer table over on the side. Do you guys remember that thrift flip? Natalie challenged me with a light fixture that I turned into a Christmas tree. I placed it on top of a lampshade collar and filled it with ornaments and ribbons and poinsettias. It's an elegant Christmas decoration that coordinates beautifully with this room. And then on that table, I also have more of those glass Christmas trees, which tie in with the glass Christmas trees on the centerpiece. If you look around this room, you can see that each of the pieces tie together because we use the same ribbons, we use the same color scheme, we use the same theme like cloches and nativities, our garlands coordinate together. Everything ties together in an elegant and classy way. I love that this is the first room that you see when you enter my house. It's a great representation of what we believe Christmas is all about. I loved that each of our decorations were very affordable. We purchased them at the thrift store and we were able to transform them into something that is prettier than it originally started out as. The base of the nativity looks so much better than it was originally. The light fixture cloche is a beautiful way to highlight a nativity piece. Our napkins are an affordable way to get a custom linen for Christmas. And you would never know that all of these pieces were from the thrift store because they look so high-end and so expensive, which proves that you can live beautifully. You can do it throughout the Christmas season and you can do it on a budget. I hope you got some inspiration or some ideas today so you feel like you can decorate your home beautifully for Christmas and you can do it affordably. Well, you guys, this is the final room that we've had to decorate. We have been decorating since October. Yeah, it's been a long process, but I wouldn't change anything about any of the decorations throughout the house. It feels so festive. It feels magical. It feels like Christmas. Well, I appreciate all of you so very much. Thank you for watching.